What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this is the second video in our Around the Block series, and my name is Gabe.
I'm Marshall.
And I'm Ryan.
And you are watching Mile High Misfits.
Alright guys, so for our second installment of Around the Block, today we're going to be discussing our top 5 most overrated platforms or chassis for enthusiast vehicles. So some things that we consider to get to this list would be perception, like public perception of the car, the performance for dollar value of the car, the chassis capability, like what limits can you reach with the chassis, and then also we're going to be just talking about where the car fits in, if it's a street car, drag car, track car, and the general performance aspect of that.
So the first car on our list is the Charger RT, and as a Mustang owner and a Chevy connoisseur, it just started off as an icon, and now it's just a family sedan.
See, I'm not even mad that it's really a family sedan now. I'm more mad that it's just, kind of this public perception, overrated, oh, it's a muscle car, but it's a sedan, it's really heavy, it doesn't handle well, and it's 2023. We have cars that are big and heavy and can handle well. And like big sedans too, like the M5 is way better than like a Hellcat Charger. It just is. On paper, it's better. It's not even that much more money if you're already spending that much.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I think the biggest thing for me is like, you watch like the Fast and Furious movies and you see Dominic Toretto, you got his Charger. It's that iconic thing that, you can't just kill off an icon like that. And the fact that now it only comes in an automatic.
That is a killer.
And
all-wheel drive.
Yeah, and the other thing is that so many of them that you see on the road are V6s as well. And it's like, I mean, it's just
not cool.
Look how look what they did to my boy.
I'm not super stoked about any of the engines that come in the Charger. I mean, the Hellcat engine, it's kind of cool, but you pay a lot for it. The 5.7, as we know, has some problems.
Yeah, if you guys have seen my lifter and cam rebuild videos, you know what I'm talking about. So the next one on our list is the S chassis, mainly talking about the S13 and the S14. I, as an S13 hatch owner, can say this, those things are pieces of shit. I honestly am pretty sad that I own one. Honestly, like, I hate to be involved in that scene. No, in all seriousness, like, the KA is an okay motor. If you're lucky enough to have the SR, which we didn't get in America, it's decent. It's a pretty decent car for the price you could have gotten it back in the...
I don't think it was always overrated.
It wasn't always overrated.
It was really underrated.
It's only gotten overrated because of the drift community, and drift tax. It's like I love drifting, but I mean they are great cars for drifting, but
they're also a great Flintstone mobile.
Yeah,
motor.
They're also great when they're sitting in a field for 20 years, rusted out, and not to mention talking about rust. If you guys have seen my S13 rust video, those frame rails rust out like crazy. Like, I mean, mine, I tried to jack it up, and it just starts crumbling. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that you cannot, it is impossible to find an S chassis without rust all over it.
Let's talk real quick about the cost of the S chassis, because I think that's super important. Because you could see an S chassis like on Marketplace for 4Gs, and it's a roller. It's got no motor, no trans, and it mismatched body panels. Yeah. $4,000. Or no low ballers.
Or you find, I know what I have.
I know what I have. Or you find one for $8,000 that's a single cam automatic that's been gutted. Like $8,000 for that? Are you kidding me? Absolutely not, Chief. You're smoking crack.
I mean, back in the day they were a good platform to have, but now it's kind of outdated. We have better cars.
We have the technology.
We have the technology to make better drift cars. I mean, for lower prices.
Yeah, we can buy a 350Z.
We can buy a 350Z. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, so the next car on our list, the first two started with making a lot of tire smoke, but the next car on our list just makes head gasket smoke, and it's the WRX.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a little hesitant on this one. I don't think the WRX is a bad platform to have, but when you talk about, again, we're coming back to cost, value per dollar, I mean, they hold their resale very good, which is great if you're an owner. But not great if you're trying to get into, you know, a reasonable enthusiast chassis. And I would say chassis capability, you're limited. Like, you can't make a lot of power with EJs generally without doing some internal work. The transmissions in WRXs, particularly the 5-speed, not a very strong transmission. STI has great drivetrain, but WRX transmission isn't great. I'm also not super crazy about just the chassis in general, like McPherson strut, suspension in the front, not my favorite setup. Like, not as cool as like some of the multi-control arm suspensions as you can get in other cars. And I even talked to one of my buddies who has a WRX, and he says that the chassis itself will literally, like, if you put a lot of power in it, like let's say you LS swap it, awesome. But now you don't have a great rear diff to hold LS power, and there's not a readily available solution because it will literally twist the chassis, like, because you're putting so much torque through the rear wheels.
I guess for me, the biggest thing, living in Colorado, this is one of those cars that you see everywhere. Like, especially when you go to car meets and car shows, the WRX and STI, I mean, they are everywhere. So, you know, it's great. You got your all-wheel drive, it's somewhat decent in the snow. You know, you can daily drive it and have a somewhat fast car with a turbo. So I see why it's, you know, loved by so many people around here. But, you know, after seeing so many on bags with a wide body kit and the what's the Subi Flow? Is that what the banner they always have across the Subi Flow banners? They used to look pretty cool when I was in high school, but come on, guys, it's overplayed.
We're not in high school anymore.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh my god. Wait. The new WRX.
Oh.
Horrible car.
Let's go into the new one.
It looks bad. It's 30 G's, you know, which I guess it's a, you know,
affordable.
Affordable in like new car world, you know. You get a turbo all-wheel drive car. But it's CVT. They trimmed it wrong too, to where you can only get the Recaro seats with the CVT until they came out with this new one, whatever. But that's stupid. They missed their target audience. You should have made a WRX STI again to compete with like the GR Yaris and the Type R. But they missed their audience. It makes less power than the old one.
And I like the equation of like a Subaru is what makes it overrated. You're like, I want a manual car, I want all-wheel drive, I want 4 doors, and I want a turbo. Except the fact that the motor explodes and transmission explodes and it takes a lot of money to make it like actually cool, so you just get like this semi-cool daily driver.
Yeah. It's a compromise.
It is, yeah.
And that's why it's overrated. Like the prices go crazy because people who are all in love with this car just want to overpay for it for not that much car, really.
One thing I wanted to roast on the new WRX again, it does look like a new version of the Toyota Echo, and I'm sorry to say that. I know that hurts you.
I think the Toyota Echo looks better. Drop it in the comments.
I always think it looks like the 14 Civic on the back.
Well, they put the plastic cladding on the outside, which is very Echo-esque.
And it's tall.
Echo-esque.
I'm like, why is it so tall?
True. Yeah, it really is.
All right, guys. Some of you guys are not going to like this next one. Mark IV Supra. Overrated. Completely overrated. You know, maybe it didn't always start out this way. It's a JDM legend. I will give it that. It was a great car for like 10 years when it was semi-affordable. But now, go to Car Gurus right now. Look up Mark IV Supras. You tell me that you're getting a lot of car for your money. I think they're going from anywhere from like, you know, 80 for like kind of a crappier NA one,
running one,
automatic, and then they can go well upwards of like 175, even 200K for like a nice example.
Yeah, that is true.
And that for me, you missed the point. And like let's talk about the perception.
Everybody wants to be Brian O'Connor.
Yeah. Brian O'Connor. He's the man, the myth, the legend, you know. But it was a good car at first. But I mean, I met this guy the other day that he imported an MK4 Supra, an automatic, non-turbo. Granted, it was clean, but for like $35,000, he imported it, and I'm like,
that's what it costs to import it? Not
no. For everything. Which, I mean, I'm like, $35,000 for a non-turbo automatic. I'm like, I don't know. That just doesn't sit well with me. I feel like you could get a lot of car for $35,000, and I don't think that is the car.
I could buy a Mustang.
I feel like
I could buy a C5 Corvette. You know,
you could buy a C6 for that much.
That's true.
C606.
Yeah, that would be nice.
The thing that kills me about the Mark IV Supra is, like, it's the basic starter pack car of I'm a car guy. It's like, oh look, there's a Supra.
Oh, so
that's how you know someone's.
Bro,
like,
did you see that Supra? Is that a Supra? Is that a Supra?
That's not like when you're a hardcore car enthusiast. You know, we're not all gooing and gawing over trying to get a Mark IV Supra because at the end of the day, it's an overrated car. The 2JZ, it's old technology. We can literally make 2JZ power in like newer BMWs that literally cost less and will blow the fucking doors off any Mark IV Supra. Alright, the last pick on the list is a car that I personally made sure was on the list. So for all you fanboys in the comments, come after us. We'll talk to you and we will debate you in the comments section. This is the R35 GTR as our most overrated car on the list. Let's talk about price. Wait, before any of that, let's talk about how long the car has been around for.
Yes.
It was launched in 2009. I think the concept car really came out in like 2007. So it's now 2023. And if you're watching this video in the future, it's still in production.
It's probably still a shit car.
Yeah, so we've now gone for over 15 years, right, with this car.
It's lived through 2 financial crises.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's lived through multiple U.S. presidents. Think about that. That's crazy. With minimal updates to the chassis and to the powertrain in it. It's only making...
What? It's not 18 yet. It can't vote.
Yeah, it's not 18 yet. But I don't know. That, for me, just shows just kind of lack of effort on Nissan's end to really make this car what it deserves to be. Not to mention when it first came out, we look at the R34 GTR, which was, obviously a JDM legend, now way overpriced, no one can really afford one. But what it was, a cool manual, all-wheel drive, badass, turbo inline 6 car, and then they took the Skyline name and kind of watered it down and turned it into a twin-turbo V6 6-speed automatic car that weighs 3,800 pounds.
It's like a G35 on crack.
Pretty much.
It's got the same interior as a G35 as well.
Yeah.
If you take a look at one of those, garbage.
Well, how much is a used one going for now?
What, GTR?
Yeah.
Probably from...
like 60 to 70?
Yeah, 60 to 70 for those earlier ones, but the brand new ones are going for $120,000. And, inflation's crazy, but I don't know if it's that crazy.
So I could buy a Supra for $120,000.
Yeah, I could buy 2 Supras.
Okay, would you rather have a Mark IV Supra or R35?
Well, that's where they're both overrated.
They're
I would
both...
have to pick the Supra because
it's manual.
They're famous for a reason.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Inline 6 over V6 all day.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I think, honestly, the R35, again, like you said, it came right after the R34, absolute JDM legend. And so, because of that, there's all these fanboys that are just super excited for the R35 to come out. They're like, just absolutely rioting Nissan.
Oh, it does 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. It's so cool.
Exactly. They're like, oh, yeah, well, okay, now it's all-wheel drive, right? So that's garbage. You can't even do a skid in it. That's lame.
There's no rear.
There's no clutch.
And yeah, there's no third pedal. So it's like it just.
I can't have fun.
It's not a real driver's car anymore, right? It's like you don't have that same connection. That was the thing about these JDM legends, that you had that connection to the car, right? It's like you had that just like raw power, manual transmission, like a real driver's car. And now it's like they're all just watered down family comfort cars. And even though, yes, the GTR is still like more of a status symbol in the car community, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I see these at the car meets, and I'm like, oh, cool, another GTR.
I mean,
hey, look at that shit box fucking over there that was, like 20 grand into it that he bought for $200 from some old lady down the street. Like, that's so much cooler than an R35.
And I mean, that's like kind of the common theme here. It's like these, like, producing manufacturers are just missing the point. Like, they're just living on the legend, and they're like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna make this fast car, but like, it was the spirit that made the cars prior. That's famous. It wasn't
so true.
Like, yeah, let me go make this really cool Charger and just like cut its head off. Let me make this really cool R35 and kill it. And the new Supra is like kind of the same way. So
yeah, I think there's this perception with the R35 that it's just like this really fast, super cool car. But I mean, it was really famous when it came out for having a 0 to 60 time under 3 seconds. We all know that.
Yeah, it was cool in 2009.
Yeah, but now Teslas do that, like, you know, Tesla's next door that your neighbor is driving, just a regular Model 3 will smoke it. And that and the transmission in them is not very good. The transmission is the weak point in those cars. You can't really make power until you really build the internals of them. It's just, you know, in my head when people are saying these cars are fast and they're all that in performance, they're really not. Like they're not a great handling car either. The weight distribution in them isn't the best either. So I'm not a fan.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I don't know if you guys brought it up already, but they're actually a pretty heavy car too. I mean, it's like you get in the 2009 or whatever, it was like 480 horsepower, but you're still looking at 3,900 pounds. And so even though it's got some power, I mean it is quick, right? But I mean it's still, it's up there with the Challengers and Chargers. It's just a heavy car. It really is.
The JDM Hellcat Challenger.
So, now that our top 5 overrated chassis are completed, we wanted to go through some of the honorable mentions. The first of which on the list is the E chassis, so E36 and E46 mainly. These ones, honestly, honorable mention mostly because they're actually pretty decently priced still. They're not crazy yet. However, I do think that they're becoming the next S chassis when it comes to the drift scene. Anybody who's in drift knows, hey, the E46 and E36, they're great drift cars for starting out, but they're getting to the point now, it's like, I can't find one for cheaper than $6,000, and they're clapped out, cooling systems are blown up. I mean, or automatic. So that's why for me, I think that the E chassis are on the honorable mentions list.
So I have an E46. I've been around the block with the E46.
He said it!
Everything that's broken on it, I've done it. I know that these cars really have some Achilles heels on them. The cooling system being one of them. Just random maintenance stuff. Like, if you take care of them, it'll be a good car for you, but it does take some money to get there. And it does take some maintenance to keep one in decent shape. And that too, we talk about chassis capability. When you have just a regular, let's say, E46 325i, you're not starting out with a lot of power. With bolt-ons, you might be making 190 at the crank. It's not a lot of power that you're getting, but it's still a good track car. You can still drift it, you can still slide it. It makes you a better driver for having less power too. But Ryan knows all too well about the ultimate flaw of the E46, and even some E36s have this problem as well.
Yeah, Marshall mentioned that if people maintain their cars, well, I don't know of anyone who buys their first E46 and says, oh, I'm going to maintain this.
Yeah.
So they're going to go out, find their first parking lot, dump the clutch, and rip out the frame, and then I'm going to have to weld it.
Yes, Ryan did weld my subframe back together. The floor is well known on these cars to tear out on any E46 you get. Touring, convertible, E46 M3, 330i's, 325s, all-wheel drive ones too. It's a very common problem, and it's not a fun fix. It's not an easy fix either, because you need someone to get under the car and weld it, drop the gas tank, drop the subframe. There's certain mods you could do to bulletproof the chassis, but I think that most people, like Ryan said, who are buying them aren't super aware of that, and then these cars are just getting clapped left and right, and now the prices are going up. So take care of them.
Yeah, so like Gabe was mentioning, like they come into the drift scene, and yeah, we're gonna go drift this like pretty balanced car. Everything sounds good, and then we're gonna go beat the crap out of them and just tear the car in two. And it's like, yeah, this is. So that's why it's on the honorable mentions. It's not quite overrated yet, but I think we're about 3 years away from. Oh wow, this car's so sick, because there's going to be no more S chassis because of the problems that Gabe mentioned.
they're crammed into a wall.
Or rusting out. And, or none of them have motors.
Yeah.
All right. So the next car on our list, we have a lot of drifting ones in here. It's a 350Z. It's not a terrible car, but I feel like every time I see 350Z, it's slammed on its nuts, on bags, or sliding into a curb in a parking lot. I don't think there's anything in between.
And it's straight piped.
And it's definitely straight piped, and your ears are bleeding, and the owner seriously thinks it's the coolest fucking thing in the world. Which I'm really glad he thinks it's cool, but everybody else hates him for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, for me, the 350Z, I used to want one.
I still think about winning one.
I know, the Nissan fanboy over here, but I don't know. I don't hate the VQ. It sounds like crap. It sounds like a trumpet, and I hate that everybody puts exhaust on these things. Please, God, stop. If you have one, just don't. But I mean, again, they look decent. Back in the day, you could get a 350Z and slide it and weld the diff and be the coolest kid at your high school for like $3,000 and good for you. But now I can't seem to find one. I'm not looking for one. Don't get me wrong. I can't seem to find one on Facebook Marketplace for less than 12 G's and they'll be clapped, man.
I don't know.
I'm just saying they're not cheap. They're not cheap anymore, and that was the good thing about them. That's pretty much the good thing about any Nissan from back in the day is they're cheap and they're rear-wheel drive, right? It's like, okay, fun.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't think the 350Z is underrated or overrated. I think it's on the trajectory to get drift taxed to shit and back, but it's still one of those cars that's offering a good package. 300 horsepower, more than any E46 makes out of the box, rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, great aftermarket support. The VQ is reliable. It sounds like shit, but it's reliable. They burn a little bit of oil. Coming from Audi land, that doesn't sound that bad to me. That really doesn't sound that bad to me. I think that you could still get one around 5K. It's probably gonna not be the nicest.
It's gonna have
on your phone.
I'm ready to go right now.
On your phone right now.
Find one.
Find me a marketplace 350Z for less than $10,000. That's not completely clapped out.
It needs to be a 7 out of 10.
And it needs to be a 7 out of 10. And
you
you guys will be judging in the comments if it's a 7 out of 10 or not.
Here's one right here.
It's auto.
2004. Oh, it is auto.
Yeah, it's got to be a manual. It's got to be a manual.
The price is too low.
Oh, look, here's one, $8,900. That's decent. It's got RPF 1s on it, clean interior.
What's wrong with it?
137K. No mechanical issues.
Somebody's lying.
Folks, come check this out. Look at that. I would buy that. Is that in focus? I don't know.
That's your next car, Marshall.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I like the idea of having a Z, but I wouldn't own one because
$9,000 for a decent one. Okay, that's okay.
I mean, but the Mustang I bought is equivalent specs almost entirely, and I got it for $4,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't make 300 horse though.
Yeah, but it has a V8 that doesn't explode. I mean, they're
that
pretty
doesn't
equal.
Explode either.
No, that's why they're equal. That's why I'm saying they're equal.
Okay, folks, would you rather have a 4.6 that revs to 5,500 and makes no power after 5,500?
He's coming after me.
I know he's roasting you, bro.
Dude, I guess
don't
it's
get
better
me wrong.
than an
E46 that doesn't run.
I'll take a V8 every day of the week over a V6, but
all right. It's getting heated. It's getting heated. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, so for the next honorable mention on our list, we wanted to bring up Miatas. A Miata's not really an overrated car in terms of power. Also, they're great track cars. Let's just make that a disclaimer. But let's talk about the increasing price of Miatas lately. It's hard. We live in Colorado. It is hard to find a Miata that's not
worth owning.
Yeah, that's worth owning.
Yeah.
Under $10,000. Mm-hmm. And that's ridiculous because what are you getting? You're getting the smallest car on the road, 2-seater, not very practical to use every day. You're getting 5-speed manual, 4-banger, NA. Up at altitude, you're probably making 80 horsepower at the wheel.
It's breaking 80 horsepower.
It's like you're paying $10,000 just to have a Lincoln Log set because everybody owns a Miata because you're I want the first car that I can work on. It's not, I want the nicest car. It's I want something to beat on and work on. So you're paying $10,000 for something you have to fix.
Exactly. And not to mention, here in Colorado, everybody drives an SUV or a truck. So if you drive a Miata, you're probably going to be obliterated in the first accident.
You're a motorcycle.
And that's probably why there's not many of them here, is because they're all totaled or in a wall somewhere. Yeah. And honestly, I don't hate the Miata. I think it's getting to the point where we put it on the honorable mentions list because it is getting to the point where it is becoming overrated. Again, it is a manual car. It's rear-wheel drive.
Fun to drive.
It's fun to drive. it's not a terrible car. However, yes, the prices are getting up there, and the Miata bros that, you know, when they, you know, when they're on the track ripping, bro, you have no idea what my Miata can do, bro. Like, let me just send this thing around the track. Like,
I
bro,
mean,
I'm gapping 5 O's, dude. In my
I'm not
Miata.
gonna lie.
Like, it's funny to see it, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna talk smack on Miatas at the track because, you know, I've got an E46 that probably has, you know, almost 3 times the horsepower of a Miata. I've been passed by them. Like I can't talk smack
Well,
on the performance.
I mean,
like the
they're
performance
fun
is there.
cars. Like I can't say they're not, but
Yeah,
like,
they're fun
the
cars.
price isn't following what you get.
Yes.
And also, God, I don't want to say this,
Don't make me say it.
but you also kind of look like a pussy driving.
The hair dryer in the glove box.
It's like
comes
the,
with
it's
all
like
of
the
them.
S14 in the 90s.
I'm sorry if I offended anybody that has a Miata.
Are you a hair?
I would like to apologize to absolutely nobody. Get
I mean,
fucked.
the thing about Miatas is like it's a girl car, but like
Really
everyone that
is.
owns a Miata that I know is a guy,
To your-
and like probably hits
Yeah.
bitches because they think it's cool.
Oh, your car is so cute. Can I take a ride? Yeah, no, they really are. They are cool track cars. They do have the performance and they're fun. So I can't talk too much crap. We're just having fun here. But
You're not getting a lot of car for your money.
You're really
Let's just
not.
say that.
And the S chassis was the same way. That was
Yeah.
a girl's car.
Mhm.
So the Miata was marketed as a girl's car, so it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
sorry, it's kind of a girl's car. They kind of made it that way.
It's okay. I've got a girl's car too. I've got an S13 hatch, so well, whatever.
Well.
But that leads us into the final one on our list, and we'll get to that one in a second.
Speaking of looking like a pussy while you're driving a car, let's talk about the S2000.
Oh man.
Also, this deserves to be moved up on the honorable mentions list to like the #1 spot because think about what you're getting. You're not getting a lot of value in dollars. Like an S2000, like a clean one is going around, you know, our parts $20,000
Yeah,
plus.
20 to 25. That's
Yeah,
where I see them.
25K. What are you getting? You know, you're getting a
VTEC.
really cool motor. You know, the motor that came in the S2000, really cool. You know, it was very high tech at the time. High horsepower per displacement motor, which is cool.
Yeah, but you're not getting a V8, and that's what.
I know, and
That's
that's
what
the
the
thing.
audience wants.
That's the thing.
That's
For
what
20, think about what you can get for 25K. You can get a C5 Corvette that is, you know, you can turn into a way better track car than an S2000. That being said, there are really cool S2000 track cars out there, but it just doesn't seem very budget friendly to do that anymore.
It takes a lot to get an S2000 to be, you know,
What you want it to be.
what you want it to be, right? I mean, it's like for 25 grand again, like you can get out the box like good track car for that much, and the S2000 is not that.
Yeah, and if you want to be Suki from Fast and Furious, you're gonna spend way more than 25 grand.
Yeah, if you're trying to
Spoon engines.
spoon it, you're trying to jump over the drawbridge and that kind of stuff, and you know, say smack that ass or whatever she said, the most cringy line in all of the Fast and Furious movies. Yeah, then have at it, but I will not be contributing to that.
I don't hate the S2000 for what it is. You know, I mean, back in the day when they were like 10K, I mean, that was a good car you're getting for $10,000. You know,
Yeah.
like the transmission in them, close ratio 6-speed, like that's cool. You know, great driving car, but I mean, they're not super slide capable either. Like they're not a car you want to go whip around.
No torque, zero
No
horsepower.
torque. You could do an engine swap on one, but
You could also buy a Corvette.
you could also buy a Corvette at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and have like a solid roof over your head. So
Yeah, roof is an important part for me. That's literally the deal breaker for an S2000 for me. I'm like, I don't like convertibles.
Yeah.
If I wanted a convertible, I'd just get a motorcycle. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the S2000 does look cool with a hard top. I will say that. The hard tops do look kind of sick.
I feel like diehard Honda people don't like the S2000 either because it kind of broke Honda's formula front wheel drive cars, other than NSX. But
that was an
it's
outlier.
like their only car they ever made, you know, in the modern era that was front engine, rear wheel drive. And so Honda people don't even like
But
it.
that was like in 2008. So it's like, there again, the companies knew what they were doing in 2008. Then the market killed itself. And now everything sucks.
So what we're saying is Honda, please bring back the S2000.
With the manual.
With a manual, no hybrid garbage, you know, a sick VTEC NA engine that makes like 300 horse, you know.
And it'll pass emissions.
Yeah,
So
and,
like it's still legal.
yeah, and price it at like 28K, yeah, 35.
It's gotta be cheap.
Yeah, make it an entry level car, please. Make it something that the people can afford.
35 top spec.
Yeah,
I think that'd be sweet.
that would be
Which I'm okay with. Bottom spec has manual windows. Like, just
Crank
give me
windows.
the chassis.
I
please.
honestly, like, I really do wish that more car companies would come out with, like, the bottom tier, like, bottom of the barrel, like you get no options. You have crank windows now.
No
you have,
airbags, dialing men.
like, all this stuff nowadays has, like, just nothing but screens on the dash. I just want that.
hate
that
screens
I just
on the
want that
dash.
analog shit. Like, I just want, like, the basic needles, the crank windows. I want to have, like, you know.
No AC.
I don't want electric fucking locks.
No heater.
I want to have to pull up the lock every time I want to get out of the car, and I just want the most badass configuration of engine and transmission that you can possibly
And an
put in a car.
LSD. And an
Yes,
LSD.
and an LSD, yes.
That's it.
Like, just the bare bones. Somebody needs to come out with that car in today's market.
It's hard because, like,
I'll bring the 90s back, is what you just said.
Pretty much.
I
yeah.
miss the 90s. Like,
I do too.
look at what the new Z is like now.
Mhm.
The new Z, like, I think the base model starts at 42, but it's got an open diff. You can't option the Brembos on it, and so you have to get the higher level one, and then the higher trim one is over 50.
It's like, bro, I don't even want seats.
Yeah.
No,
I'll get my own seats.
I'll put a couch in there. I'll ride around on my own couch. Bring your own seats to the dealership, and you pick it up.
Give me a box of parts and some instructions.
Yeah, I'll
Is that
just-
$10,000?
give me a Lego box and I'll build that motherfucker right now. I don't care.
It's hard because when you look at the prices of cars that we like now, all the cars on this list, which are enthusiast cars in some capacity, especially the ones that were affordable at some point, the reason they're on this list now is because they're not affordable, and it just helps me, like, get me to this point where I'm thinking that cars there could be a renaissance, There's a demand there's a demand for driver's cars out there, for
Yep.
reasonably priced driver's cars. Why aren't companies listening? That's what I want.
And the BRZ was close, but they had to put a Subaru motor in it.
True. That is 100% true.
That's true.
They were like
And
right
like-
there.
And I do appreciate the fact that, well, okay, so the new Supra, it came in an automatic, and oh my gosh, that was so frustrating.
Every one of these did that.
Yeah, every one of these did that. However, Toyota did come out with, the manual version and the new GR.
And now the hype is dead.
But now, now the hype is dead, but also the fact that it's also $60-something thousand for the manual option. So it's like, I don't know, still overpriced. But it would be nice to see more car companies, just getting into that classic spirit of where we were at in the 90s.
I think it would sell.
I think
it
it would totally sell.
I think it would sell. When you look at, the last manual V8 sedan you can buy is the Blackwing. They sell over half of them with a manual transmission. There's a market.
The
for-
G8. Oh, the G8 should have been on this
The
list for sure.
The G8 is a bit overpriced. Yeah, look at the price of these things. They're going up, just like the G8, GXP, 6-speed. Selling for
Everybody loves
$40,000.
that. I mean, it's a little ugly, but everybody loves what that car is.
Yeah.
Alright guys, that concludes our top 5 most overrated cars in the car community today. If you disagreed with any of the cars on that list, make sure to leave it in the comments below and we'll argue with you guys as much as you desire and we'll tell you exactly why you're wrong. But one thing that I did want to mention before exiting this video is our analytics are saying that only 1.9% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel. So please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for the channel and that would help us out a ton. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.
Bye.